Good evening. Buddha's teachings are far more humane, spiritual, and thought-provoking than any of the collection of hadiths in Islam. But many of the Buddhist scholars and teachers have infested Buddhism with organizational formalities throughout the centuries. Compared to Buddhism, Hadith-based Islam, not solely Quranic, but Hadith-based Islam is simply monstrous. In every teaching of Islam, whether that be from the Quran or from the Hadith, you can sense that the target audience were the illiterate, ordinary, naive, camel-herding, cave-dwelling idiots. Because that's what they were. Even that what Islamic history claims, because Muhammad was preaching to very ordinary people mostly. But whereas, on the other hand, the teachings of Buddha himself had a target audience of wise, wisdom-seeking, devoted followers. That's the basic difference. And you can find reminiscence of those in all of Buddha's teachings, including those of the teachings which we can still find them to be spiritual. As the Quranic verses and the Hadith instructions are often too simple and bereft of much intellectuality, the ever need of spiritual desires opened up the doors for concoctions to intricate, uncanny, and ambiguous interpretations throughout the centuries. Hence, Islam created the most complex vortex of Quran, Hadith, tafsir or interpretations, ijma, and qiyas, when the scholars get together and come to a decision. And fatwas, when scholars give some jurisprudential decisions. Lies gave birth to more lies, pushing what is Islam to obscurity. Questioning it has become sacrilegious. Getting out of this Pandora's box of Islam has become murderous. Satisfaction is sought in innumerable rituals, masla masails, and instructions at every step of life, with absurd claim of it being a complete code of life. Whereas it has killed the rational mind of its followers, who have lost the minimal right to decide anything for their daily lives. So how to eat, how to sleep, how to have sex, how to wear a beard, which pastime they should follow or not, whether to paint, not to paint, whether to sing, not to sing, whether to drink, not to drink, which footstep to take first, which hand to use first. It has become a manually operated robotic life living, which has killed spirituality. There are instructions to spend much of a day in Islam worshipping and glorifying the invisible Allah. But there is not a single instruction to dedicate daily life to think for one's own self. All instructions in Islam to think, or all instructions in the Quran, are simply to contemplate on how great Allah and his teachings are, and how they are all right, how they are all true. Somehow, mind is always engaged in Islam to find justifications of every aspect of Quranic teachings. Engaging oneself in mental gymnastics constantly to somehow make the words of Allah correct to its every aspect, and to constantly concoct newer meanings, calling them to be miraculous. But there's not a single instruction in there to make one understand what spirituality might be. Buddha's words, on the other hand, uplifts one's own understanding of life from a spiritual quest. That's the difference. So when it comes to comparing Buddha with Muhammad, Muhammad might have been a king, a ruler, though Quran doesn't agree that he ever was. Surah 88, verse 22 and onwards you can read. But the hadith-based Islam and the Muhammad of it can't be compared with Buddha, where understanding of life and the celebration of life and the tolerance of the sufferings of life and how to cope with it are viewed from a spiritual sense. Whereas the teachings of Muhammad, hadith-based Islam, have a simple solution. If you can't accept it, bow to it, even if you don't understand much of the teachings at all. You simply don't have the acumen to understand it. That's an insult to human intellect.